places have a coldness that comes from where they are. Some places have a coldness that comes from within. Such a place was the offices of Scrooge and Marley. Yea, a harsh and penetrating cold exuded from that place. And though that cold might be found in its walls and ledgers and inkwells, its source was that which dwelt within it. Messrs. Ebenezer Scrooge and Jacob Marley. A biting, fearsome cold did the two of them give out, and all those that came within its compass did well to resist it. A cold that had become an affront to the universe, and one that had to end. Into these offices we enter one wet Christmas Eve. Present are Ebenezer Scrooge, hard and sharp as flint, though no steel had ever struck from him a generous fire. Secret, self-contained, and solitary as an oyster. The internal cold within had froze his old features, nipped his pointed nose, shriveled his cheek, and drew his thin lips blue. Hunched over a ledger, recording in an ever more spidery script the profit of the day, which cheered him little. Also present, Scrooge's clerk, Bob Cratchit, a good man, who, despite his years in the presence of those reprobates, had somehow retained enough warmth of spirit to return each evening to the loving embrace of his family. Bob looked again at the clock on the wall, reading 10 past the hour of 6, keenly feeling those excess minutes of Christmas Eve. He looks towards his master and finally moves from his desk to approach him.
Mr. Scrooge?
Yes?
Well, you said to close at 6, sir. It's 10 past the hour now, sir.
You'll be wanting the whole day tomorrow, I suppose.
Well, if it's quite convenient, sir.
Every year the same pantomime. I wonder who will tire it first. Be all the earlier the day after Cratchit.
Oh, yes, sir. I hope Mr. Marley's quite well, sir.
Mr. Marley's name is Jacob, as well you know, not Lazarus. Finish up and lock up. I won't be returning tonight.
Well, yes, sir. Thank you. But Merry... Good night, sir.
But Scrooge is out of the door. Bob returns to his desk and finishes up his work, returning ledgers to their shelves and removing paperwork to their drawers and locking them. The candle on Scrooge's desk gutters out, and the room darkens further. Bob notices the dark and the cold, and maybe there is something in the corners of the room as he shudders and wraps his arms around himself for warmth. He looks up at the clock. Taking his candle with him, he goes to get his thin coat from the stand. He rapidly dons it and heads towards the door. He extinguishes the candle and exits the room in almost a single movement, and only then, from within the darkness of the room, do shadowy figures stir. From the entrance of the office, though the door remains locked, another figure enters. A man, nervously walking down the centre of the room, increasingly scared. It is Jacob Marley.
How?
He pauses in front of the desk that Scrooge had been sat at. We see him more clearly. A well-dressed man with waistcoat and frock, well manicured. Suddenly he is in a spotlight. He tries to look into it, shielding his eyes with his hand, blinking into it.
Who's there?
Around him, 3 wraiths approach from the corners of the room, dragging with them, attached by chains, a series of ledgers, cash boxes, and bills of exchange. Marley stands terrified and dumbstruck, his eyes darting from one figure to the other as they dress him in these, his new burdens. Worse, another figure approaches. A figure dressed only in a black shroud, its visage hidden deep within a cowl. It towers over Marley and raises a skeletal hand to point a bony finger at him. It is the ghost of Christmas yet to come.
Jacob Marley is dead.
The wraiths step back from Marley, their work done, Marley being weighed down by the tools of his life. The office doors swing open, revealing a swirling chasm from which emanates a terrible howling of unseen souls whose predicament matches that of Marley. Against his will, drawn by unseen forces, Marley finds himself dragged toward it.
No! Help me! Help me, someone! Ebenezer! Scrooge!
7 years later, on a busy Victorian street, it is Christmas Eve, and though cold, the people seem inured against it through their own good cheer. Among the throng are Bob Cratchit, accompanied by his son, Tiny Tim. Tim is 9 years old, but short for his age, and walks with a difficult gait, his leg turned in on itself. Bob is holding a briefcase and a crutch. He offers the crutch to his son.
I don't need it.
Oh, good lad.
I've not been to where you work before.
No,
Mother says I'm not to speak to Mr. Scrooge.
that's it. Well, just speak when you're spoken to, like all good boys. Right, we're here.
Cratchit fumbles with his keys and opens the door.
Just find yourself somewhere to sit while I open up. Martha will be here soon to pick you up.
Yes, Father.
Cratchit walks into the back of the shop, past Scrooge's desk. Tiny Tim, looking where his father went, spies Scrooge's seat and goes and sits in it, looking with interest at the papers and quills on the desk. Scrooge enters the shop. Initially, he does not notice Tiny Tim, but as Scrooge removes his hat, he sees Tiny Tim sat at his desk.
Cratchit, there's a boy in the shop.
Oh, yes, sir. It's
There's a boy in the shop. There's a boy in my chair.
Oh, yes, sir. It's my boy, Tim, sir. Tim, come over here. My daughter Martha's coming to pick him up in the morning to take him to the fair.
He was in my chair.
Yes, sir. He shouldn't have done that. Tim,
Will you thrash him? What's the matter with him anyway?
Nothing.
A weakness in his legs, sir. A weakness in his bones, but he's very brave with it.
My desk had better be in order. You have a great deal of work to do today, Cratchit. Not a day to have the inconvenience of a boy.
Oh, no, sir. Martha will be here quite soon, sir.
And who are these two?
Good morning, sir. Do I have the pleasure of addressing Mr. Marley or Mr. Scrooge?
My partner, Mr. Marley, has been dead 7 years this very eve.
We trust his generosity is survived by his partner.
Cratchit, what have I said to you about allowing beggars into the shop?
Sir, we are hardly that.
No? So you have not come to ask me for money?
Well, we have, but only on behalf of those less fortunate than ourselves.
Ah, less fortunate. So one's success in life is down to luck.
It plays its part.
Not in this shop. A man prospers through his work and good sense, and with such men do I do business. As for the idle, they need look elsewhere for help.
Well, sir, I feel we've started this conversation on the wrong foot. We're not Fabians or trade unionists, but simply men who recognise the hardship of the poor at this time of the turning of the year, and would look to find a way to ease it, else they fall into crime or despondency.
And the prisons are already full?
Most overcrowded.
But the workhouses remain in operation.
They do?
I wish I could say they were not.
And the treadmill and the poor law are in full vigour?
They are.
I've just done that.
Good. For a moment I thought you were going to tell me something had interrupted them in their good works.
Good works? Sir, men would rather die than go there.
Then best they do it, and quick about it too, and decrease the surplus population.
Well, I never.
Sir, what donation may I put you down for?
Nothing.
You wish to remain anonymous?
I wish to be left alone. The hardships of the poor are not my business. My taxes, which are substantial, help fund the institutions I have mentioned. Those must prove sufficient. If not, well, I do not know.
But you might know, sir.
Enough. Good day to you both.
Good.
Then we shall leave.
Yes.
A Merry Christmas to you, sir.
Cratchit, bring me the ledger for Crompton and Bassett, and the foreclosures log.
Oh, yes, sir.
Cratchit heads towards the bookcase containing the file Scrooge has asked for. As the gentlemen leave the shop, so another man enters. Scrooge recognizes him. It is Fred, Scrooge's nephew.
Am I to spend all of today assailed by frivolous men?
Uncle Scrooge, a Merry Christmas to you. There's a boy in your shop. Don't tell me you're using child labour now.
No, he's my clerk's boy.
Of course he is. Why, he's the very spit of him. Merry Christmas, Bob. And a Merry Christmas to your boy, too.
Oh, Tim, sir.
What is it tomorrow, Tim? Goose, Christmas pudding, sweets and party games and dancing? I'm sure it is. Well, that's what it is at my house. And with yourself, Uncle Ebenezer. How will you be keeping Christmas?
You have a reason for being here, nephew?
Absolutely, Uncle. To wish you a Merry Christmas.
Ah, humbug.
Christmas? A humbug, Uncle? You don't mean that, surely.
I do. Merry Christmas. What right or reason do you have to be merry? You're poor enough.
What right or reason do you have to be dismal? You're rich enough.
My books, Cratchit. Where are my books?
Oh, here, sir.
Uncle, dine with us tomorrow. Anna would love you to come.
I will not.
But why?
I do not keep Christmas as you, dear nephew.
You do not keep it at all.
What is Christmas to you, boy? Except for a time of spending without the resource, of finding yourself a year older, but not an hour richer, of having the reckoning of 12 hard months set against you, with the knowledge of 12 more yet to come. And yet you say, Merry Christmas. Much good can it do you?
I have always found Christmas to be a good time. A kind, forgiving, charitable, pleasant time. The time of year when men and women, by one consent, putting aside their own selfish hopes and fears, open up their closed hearts freely and look to the welfare of those strangers around them. And therefore, Uncle, though it has never put a scrap of gold or silver in my pocket, I believe it has done me good and will do me good. And I say, God bless it. A child understands. Why makes it so hard for you?
Why did you get married? Against my wishes.
Because I fell in love.
In love.
What reason is that not to visit us now?
A dowerless girl and you with barely £4 in your account. You married below you, boy, when you might have married well and been in Parliament by now.
Anna makes me happy, sir. We are happy.
Good day, nephew.
Come to dinner tomorrow.
Good day, sir.
I am sorry with all my heart to find you so resolute. But there will always be a seat for you, sir, at my Christmas table. So I too bid you a good day, sir. And a Merry Christmas.
Humbug!
Merry Christmas to you, Mr. Fred.
And you, Bob. And you, Tim.
Merry Christmas, sir.
Your boy. When?
Well, momentarily, I'm sure, sir. Martha said she'd be here very shortly, and she has my own punctuality.
I suppose it is too inclement having wait outside the shop.
Oh, sir, it is that, sir. And I feel it necessary to wait with Tim for fear of him being left alone in the city.
Alone, Bob? We are all of us alone.
Martha! Mr. Scrooge, this is my daughter, Martha.
Oh, sorry.
Charmed.
Martha.
Bob,
What?
in one Christmas morning, I have met more of your family than I have in 15 years of your employment. Let us hope it is another 15 years, but before I should meet more of them. Seek your family at home, Cratchit, not in your workplace.
Oh, indeed, sir. Martha, you are a blessing. Oh, now, Tim, you have a great time with Martha at the fair, and be sure to look at all the stalls and the toys and the animals, and to tell me all about it tonight when you're home. Oh, you need your crutch. Come on, son, for me, if not yourself.
Okay.
Oh, good lad. Martha, everything all right? Do you need anything? Money?
It's all fine, Father. We'll see you at home later.
Oh, God bless you. Oh, goodbye, both.
Bye, Father.
Goodbye, Father. Goodbye, Mr. Scrooge.
Good. Mr. Cratchit, having no family of my own to whom I should pass on this advice, I do so to you. Protect yourself. Protect yourself, sir. A weak heart is no defense to what harshness tomorrow is wont to bring. If you learn no other lesson in my employ, learn that. Now, books. The morning is almost wasted, and we have much to do.
It is the evening, and Martha and Tiny Tim are returning home after a day at the fair. They are walking up the street upon which their house is. Tiny Tim is energetically using his crutch to walk as fast as he can.
There a fox and her cooks, and they had a toffee apple, and there was a juggler.
I know. I remember. I was there.
I know, but I'm trying to remember. And there was a shy, and you had to throw a ball at some pins. And if you hit them, you won a doll. I didn't go on that, but you did, and you nearly won. You nearly did.
Nearly?
And there was a Punch and Judy, and...
Tim! Oh, it's too much talking and walking at the same time, getting yourself all excited. You'll wear yourself out. Here, let me help you.
But I need to remember for Father.
Well, just say it quietly. We're almost home now.
Well, there was a tall man.
Who was on stilts.
What stilts? Oh, and a lady who told a fortune. And clowns. Lots and lots of clowns.
Meanwhile, back at the offices of Scrooge and Marley, Scrooge has continued in his efforts to ensure that he gets every last moment of work out of his clerk, Bob Cratchit.
Oh, the time, sir, it's past the hour, sir.
Is it? Well, I suppose we must defer our labours till tomorrow.
Tomorrow is Christmas Day, sir.
What of it?
Well, it's only once a year, sir.
That's a poor enough reason for picking a man's pockets every 25th of December. Once a year, indeed. You'd consider yourself ill-used if I docked you a day's pay for your absence. But I'm not considered ill-used for paying a day's wage for no work.
Christmas, sir?
Christmas? Ha! A humbug! If I had my will, any man who went around with Merry Christmas on his lips should be boiled with his own pudding and buried with a sprig of holly through his heart. Even so, as I am in a minority on the subject, I guess I have no alternative but to follow the general will.
Oh, thank you, sir. Oh, Merry Christmas, sir.
My clerk, 15 shillings a week, a mortgage and family, and he says to me, Merry Christmas. I'll retire to Bedlam. Lock up. Be in all the earlier the day after. Good night, Cratchit.
Good night, sir.
Scrooge is walking home. Various people pass him by, each engaged in their own busy chatter. They try not to notice Scrooge or acknowledge him as they pass him. Indeed, if their eyes do catch him, they quickly look away. Only the beggars, stoic through their desperation, try to interact with him.
Spare a coin for one less fortunate, sir.
Scrooge walks by him as though he didn't exist. The street is empty now as Scrooge approaches the doorway to his home. Fumbling in his pockets for keys, he hears a voice.
Ebenezer.
What? Who's there? Who calls me?
Ebenezer Scrooge.
Scrooge turns to face his own door. The voice without doubt had come from within. Indeed, unseen by Scrooge's eyes, separated only by the carpentry of the door, the spectral figure of Jacob Marley stands.
What's that? Is there someone in my house?
Come.
I shall call the beadle.
There is no further sound from beyond the door. Scrooge, perplexed, wonders what to do. He leans into the door, placing his ear next to it, intently listening, but hears nothing. Shaking, he turns the key in the lock, then thrusts the door open, hoping to hit anyone standing behind it. There is no one there. Scrooge lifts the lamp that hangs outside the door, lights it, and enters the house. Having entered the property, Scrooge, holding the lamp as far forward of himself that he can manage, gingerly makes his way down his hallway and up his stairs. He comes to realize, as usual, he is alone.
There's no one here. Well, no one but me.
Scrooge goes to the grate and lights his fire. Then heads towards his larder, and fetching out a cold piece of meat and some cheese, proceeds to sit in his armchair, facing the weak warmth of his fire.
You old fool. No one here but yourself. It's wind. It's just the wind. Who is it?
Ebenezer.
Jacob Marley enters the room. He is a vision of a decaying corpse. His clothes, once smart, now rotten. His skin pallid, barely covering his bones, and he is swathed in chains, which in turn drag behind him ledgers and cash boxes.
Ebenezer Scrooge.
Stay back! What do you want of me?
Much.
Who are you?
Ask me who I was.
Who were you then? You're very particular for a shade.
In life, I was your partner, Jacob Marley.
Jacob?
You don't believe in me?
No.
Why do you doubt your senses, Ebenezer?
Because a little thing affects them. A slight disorder of the stomach makes them cheat. You may be an undigested blot of beef, a blot of soured mustard, a crumb of putrefied potato. There may yet be more of gravy than of grave about you. Why? You see these toothpicks?
I see them.
Well, you're not looking at them.
Oh, I see them nonetheless.
Well, I only need to swallow one of these to be persecuted for the rest of my days by a troop of hobgoblins. Jacob, your arm has fallen off.
It matters not. Man of the worldly mind, do you believe in me or not?
I do. I must. But why do you come to me, Jacob?
I have sat beside you in our offices most often in these past 7 years. How it is you see me tonight, yet not before, I do not understand.
Sat beside me? You are fettered. Why?
I wear the chain I forged in life. I made it link by link and yard over yard and bore it out of my own free will. You may be afeard of this harsh chain, Ebenezer, yet I have seen the chain you wear. It was as long and heavy as this 7 Christmas Eves ago, and you have laboured hard upon it since. It is a ponderous chain. It is there, notwithstanding.
Why, Jacob? Why are you punished so? You were always a good man of business.
Business. Mankind was my business. The common welfare was my business. Charity, mercy, forbearance, and benevolence were all my business. The dealings of trade should have been but a drop of water in the ocean of my worldly business. It is at this time of the rolling of the year that I suffer most. Why did I walk through the crowds of my fellow beings with my eyes turned from them? Why was my path only from this abode to our counting house and back again? Were there no stars to lead me to those in need? Did I ignore all their lights?
Oh, it is enough to
No! I shall now hear no more the words of thy poison-shuttered heart. Ebenezer, my time grows short. I come to tell you that there is still a chance you may escape my fate. A chance of my procuring.
Thank you, Jacob. You were always a good friend to me.
I was your only friend.
I hope I was a friend to you also, Jacob.
You will be haunted by 3 spirits.
This is the chance of which you spoke, Jacob? Then I think I'd rather not.
It is the only chance you have to avoid my fate. Expect the first tonight when the bell tolls 1.
Oh, couldn't I have them all at once and get them over with?
Expect the second the following night at the same hour, and the third the next when the last stroke of 12 has ceased to vibrate. Look to see me no more, Ebenezer, but think on this night and save yourself.
I will try, Jacob. Where will you go?
With the others of my ilk, those who have failed to interfere for good in humankind, but could, and now have lost that power forever.
Jacob Marley turns and leaves the room by walking directly through a wall into the world outside. Scrooge is momentarily startled by this, then heads towards a window to look out into the street below. He sees Jacob Marley alongside numerous other spirits, all similarly shackled, and hears the cacophony of sounds of anguish that they give as they look upon the living hell of the beggars on the street that they can no longer help.
I'll not believe it. You're losing your mind, Ebenezer.
Terrified by what he has seen, Scrooge closes his eyes and slaps his hands to his ears to shut out the infernal sounds, and blindly races to his bed, closing the bed curtains tightly behind him.
Stuff, nonsense, fakery, humbug.
Some time later. Despite the evening's events, Scrooge has fallen asleep and is snoring. The room is dimly lit, the sound of a clock ticking. The clock starts the chiming that leads up to the strike of 1. Upon the start of the chiming sequence, Scrooge ceases snoring and sits up in bed. clock loudly, almost incongruously to the chimes that have gone before, strikes 1. Into the room appears the ghost of Christmas Present. He is dressed in green robes edged in white fur. On his head is a wreath of holly rich in berries. Girded around his middle is a black belt, attached to which is an antique scabbard holding no sword, and indeed eaten with rust. In his right hand he holds a torch shaped like Plenty's horn, from which a sparkling dust falls when shaken. The room becomes brightly lit. A light shines against the curtains of Scrooge's bedchamber. Scrooge nervously moves inside it, pulling the curtains more tightly shut to try to hold back the light.
No, sir, that will not do. Dare you to close your eyes against us? That's better. Now, come on in. Come on in and know me better, man. You've never seen the likes of me before, have you?
No, I have not, nor had the inclination to do so.
They said you were a fool, but I see it for myself now.
Who said?
My brothers and sisters, who have gone before me and found themselves shunned by ye.
Have you many siblings, sir?
Over 1,800, and yet you know not who I am.
No, sir. Though you are so loud, I should have thought to have heard of you.
There is life in you yet. Good. Maybe you are not yet lost to us. I am the ghost of Christmas Present, and I am here tonight for your welfare.
Welfare?
Your redemption, then.
I need it.
Greatly.
The ghost of Christmas Present holds out his arm. Tentatively, Scrooge reaches out to touch it. A bustling street! The ghost of Christmas Present steps forward into it as people pass him by. They do not see him, but smile as they pass him, and their mood seems improved as they proceed on.
You recognize this place?
Of course. It's a street not far from my offices.
But it looks strange to you, does it not?
People look happier than they usually want.
Why, of course. It's Christmas, Ebenezer. And on this day, the goodness of Christ child does infect all humanity. Should, if one does let it. I have much to do.
A baker, holding aloft a tray of bread, comes out into the street.
Penny bread! You've got your pennies. Come on in.
The ghost of Christmas Present hovers his horn above the tray, and a cloud of sparkling dust falls from it. The baker lowers the tray from on high as children swarm him, each putting a penny on the tray and taking a loaf and rushing off home. One of them, a girl in poor clothing, holding the purchased bread, rushes into a nearby hovel. They follow. Within, the girl's mother kisses her on the forehead and takes the bread and places it on the table next to 2 bowls of cheap stew. They sit down next to the food and bow their heads to say grace. The ghost of Christmas Present gives his torch a determined shake to sprinkle the food heavily.
Is there a particular flavour you sprinkle from your torch, Spirit?
There is my own, a blend of cheerfulness and hope, and of a pleasant remembrance of the past and the forgiveness of errors.
And would it apply to any kind of dinner on this day?
To any kindly given, and to a poor one most.
Why a poor one most?
Because it needs it most. But all who choose to remember the day will receive the day's blessings.
Scrooge and the ghost of Christmas Present find themselves in the kitchen of a good house. Scrooge's nephew Fred and his wife Anna are already present. Also in the room is Fred's friend Topper. Fred is laughing.
Upon my word, he called Christmas a humbug.
Oh man.
I am sure he doesn't think so.
I have never met your Uncle Fred, but you always paint him a most entertaining fellow.
And I am sure he does not mean to be. I'm sure he thinks himself a most sensible, stoic figure. And
Instead,
yet,
a sad and lonely old man.
he wouldn't thank you for that description.
As accurate as it may be.
Well, I invited him again, and he turned us down again.
Well, you've done your duty then.
I don't like to think of it like that.
Uncle Ebenezer is the last of Fred's family. We hate to think of him being alone, don't we, darling?
Any time.
Well, I'm afraid that I too may be becoming an expert in being alone.
Not for much longer, my good Topper.
Look, I'm not making any promises.
For a single lady of Anna's sister's acquaintance will also be joining us for dinner later.
Ooh.
I believe she is quite available.
Look, will you stop it?
Oh, well, on that news, I'd best be off to ensure I am at my most avuncular.
A task of great difficulty, no doubt.
Boy, I shall return at 7.
I shall return at 7.
An amicable bunch. The boy, your only living relative, his wife, seems well matched to him, and the other...
A fool who seems well suited to his jesters.
They spoke of you only in kindness, and yet you would push them away.
They meant little of it.
I think they meant much.
Spirit, I thought you had much to do. Why then do we tarry here?
Indeed we do. To another of your acquaintance.
Where is this place?
You do not know?
Mm.
How many masters would know the home of their employee? This is the home of Bob Cratchit and his family. Though their home looks but meagre, the warmth within may prove greater than many palaces.
Scrooge and the ghost of Christmas present enter the house. Within, Mrs. Cratchit is busily setting a dinner table, whilst her 2 youngest girls are running around it. Her eldest boy, Peter, is at the stove, tending potatoes.
Calm down, you two, and help your brother get the plates. Whatever has got into your precious father, then? I'm Tiny Tim, and Martha wasn't as late last Christmas either.
Here I am, Mother.
Here's Martha, Mother.
Hooray, you're here. There's such a goose.
Is there?
Yes, there is.
But we're not to see it.
We're not to open the oven.
Late! Bless your heart. How late you are.
We had a deal of work to be getting on with last night, and again this morning. Father and Tim not here?
No, they're late as well, and I don't want things to burn.
He's coming. Hide, Martha.
Yes, hide, Martha, hide.
Go on then, quickly. Oh, here you are.
Where's our Martha then?
Not coming.
What? Not coming? Not coming on Christmas Day?
Of course I'm here, Father.
What's that sound?
That's the pudding singing the copper. Come and see, Tim.
Yes, come and see Tim.
And there's such a goose.
You've already said that.
Not to Tim, I haven't.
How was he today?
Well, as good as gold. He gets so thoughtful sometimes and says the strangest things. He told me coming home that he had hoped that in the church people had noticed him and thought it might be pleasant for them on Christmas Day to be reminded of who made lame beggars walk or blind men see.
It's enormous.
Have you been King.
Just a little bit.
Martha did it.
Well, if you've been looking at it, we'd best get it out and eat it.
Hooray!
With that, the family, in an organised bustle, set the table and take their places. Scrooge and the ghost of Christmas present look on. Bob brings the cooked goose to the centre of the table. It is not that impressive in size, yet from the reaction one would think its like had never been seen before.
Well done, Mother. You've outdone yourself this year.
Well, I hope it tastes as good as it looks.
They have so little, yet make so much of it.
I would not feast so well this day.
Yet you could. Your wealth could dwarf this feast. And yet...
Yes!
With whose company would you share it? Who should grace your cold table with their warmth?
A toast, my dears. A toast.
Oh, yes, a toast. Come on, girls, charge your glasses.
Christmas. Christmas, my dears. A Merry Christmas to us all.
Merry
Christmas. And Merry Christmas to us all.
God bless us, everyone.
Tell me, Spirit, will Tiny Tim live?
I see a vacant chair in a poor chimney corner, and a crutch without an owner, carefully preserved. If these shadows remained unaltered by the future, no more of my race will find him here. But if belike to die, best he do it, and be quick about it, and decrease the surplus population.
My words were harsh words, Spirit.
Indeed they were. To hear the insect on the leaf pronounce that too much life in his fellows in the dust.
Ah, but can you say my words aren't true? The boy's death I feared the moment I saw him. I must help Bob steel himself to this future. Spirit, why do you shrink from me?
Child of man, for the first time I see you clearly. You see your own coldness as inevitable and correct, and think it right and natural to infect others with it.
Spirit, survival in this world demands that we...
No more. I cannot change you. I see now, to deal with the man you are, we must first find the man you were.
As the ghost of Christmas present spoke, so a great wind picked up, and Scrooge felt himself transported to a cold and empty plain, a dark, featureless landscape lit only by a single far-off light, one that grew steadily closer.
What light is that?
My sister. She comes at my request. Go with her. If you may be helped, she may return you to me. If not...
Oh, Spirit, say that I am not beyond redemption.
Go. That you know that there is such a need may be your only hope.
The ghost of Christmas present turns from Scrooge and vanishes as though stepping into a shadow.
Ebenezer?
Who is there?
One who would help you, if help you would take.
I would. I fear I had forgotten I had the need of it. But I find in this cold dark, I remember. Who are you, Spirit? Show yourself.
I am the ghost of Christmas past.
Long past?
Your past.
That is a past that cannot change.
No. But if you would consider it, it may serve you. Come. Bear a touch of my hand and let us see if you are uplifted by its remembrance.
Timidly, Scrooge reaches out to touch the hand of the ghost of Christmas past. As he makes contact, so the world becomes full of light, a light that penetrates Scrooge unto his bones. Within that light, shadows form, and Scrooge squints to see them better. The sound of a clanging bell fills the crisp, cold winter air that suddenly surrounds Scrooge and the ghost of Christmas past. And they find themselves in a snow-covered schoolyard, complete with excited schoolboys running in play.
Who are all these children? Stop rushing around! Stand still, for goodness sake!
They cannot hear you.
Why, are they deaf? Stop running about me! I can barely hear myself think!
Nor can they see us. We are but as stretched shadows of the future, undiscovered as it is.
Nonsense. Yet. But I know that boy. That's Thomas Thatchett, who broke the windows of the vicarage with his football. And didn't he get a thrashing for it? Oh, and William Wade. And Lawrence Gray. And where is he? I know this place. I was a boy here.
You look for someone.
He should be here. If they are here in this time and place, he should be.
Boys, come along. Your carriage is away to take you home for Christmas.
Of course. It's Christmas. Humbug.
The school ought to be a deserted place at Christmas. And yet...
I know!
Scrooge and the ghost of Christmas past enter a schoolroom. At a desk is a young Scrooge writing determinedly in his schoolbook. In the room is another boy, sat on a desk, swinging his legs, showing no desire to leave.
There he is. Jacob Marley.
So you're here every Christmas?
Yes.
Don't you get lonely?
Well, Father says it's a good opportunity to do some studying and get ahead of everyone else.
Oh, he sounds mean.
No, he's not. He's just...
Oh, I wish I could stay here.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do. We could run up and down the halls and no one would be there to stop. And we could play hide and seek in the whole building.
Oh, yeah?
And it might take forever to find us. I'd have the best place and hide from the whole school.
Oh, no. From the whole world.
Master Marley.
Sir.
Your carriage is here to take you home, and your father with it.
When the master told me you were still in rooms, I'd hoped to find you at study. I see I was mistaken.
Sir.
Well, hurry, boy. A long journey awaits us, and your master tells me your grades are most disappointing.
Well, first term is always difficult for a boy.
My boy needs not your excuses, sir. He'll try harder, even if I have to thrash it into him. Come.
Bye, Ebenezer.
Bye, Jacob.
He ever was my only friend.
Look, and you will discover others. Let us see another Christmas in this place.
Around them, the room changes through the passage of time, and the child Scrooge ages to enter his young manhood. He is pacing around the room with a look of cold despair. Scrooge notices and shakes his own head to see it. Then a young girl enters the room.
Brother!
Anne?
Sister, what are you doing here?
To bring you home.
Home?
Home for good. Father is so much kinder than he used to be, that he spoke so gently to me one night, and I wasn't afraid to ask him once more if he could come home. And he said, yes, you should. And he sent me in a coach to get you. And he said you were to be found a place in business and to be a man of the world and to never come back here. But first, we're to have Christmas, and it should be the best Christmas ever.
Well, that's quite a story, little Fan.
But it's true.
I don't doubt it when you say it. And here's my box and my things. Are we to go now, Fan?
Yeah, told you.
Oh. So what shall we do, Fan? Shall we have presents and cake and shall we dance?
Yes. Do you dance?
It's not a subject this school teaches.
Good, for I shall teach you. Watch.
Fan dances around the room in front of the younger Scrooge, who enthusiastically claps along. Scrooge smiles at the sight, then, though unseen by Fan, dances along with her. Fan finishes dancing, then runs towards the younger Scrooge, grabs his hand and drags him from the room, and the younger Scrooge leaves gratefully enough.
Your sister was of a delicate health,
She was.
but with a brave and powerful heart.
That two-spirit. I'll not gainsay it.
She died a woman, and had, as I think, a child.
My nephew.
Yes. She died giving him life.
Yes.
An exchange she willingly made. We leave this place.
So Scrooge felt himself transported to a large room, which people are busily clearing of clutter to create an open space in which to hold a party. All are eagerly participating in this task, save one individual, young Scrooge, who remains at a desk, intently poring over a ledger, seemingly oblivious to the movement about him.
Do you know this place?
Know it? I was apprenticed here. Old Fezziwig's Emporium. I never thought to see it again. Why, look, it's old Fezziwig, alive again.
Is it true?
Is what true, sir?
That we are about to be descended upon by a dozen taxmen and a gross of auditors?
I don't know, sir.
Well, it must be if I am to find you here, quill in hand and nose to the numbers at past 7 o'clock on the 24th of December, Christmas Eve.
Well, I simply wanted to make sure that everything was correct with the accounts before close of day.
But it is over the clock, Ebenezer. Over the clock on Christmas Eve. Come, this will not do. Christmas is beyond us soon enough without ourselves ignoring the season.
Mr. Fezziwig!
Oh, my! Mrs. Fezziwig!
Oh, Mr. Fezziwig, why do you have young Mr. Scrooge still chained to his desk and books when Christmas is upon us? Huh?
Ah, well, it would appear that we are about to be in receipt of a visit from the Customs and Excise. And young Mr. Scrooge here is ensuring our safety by ensuring that all our figures and stocks are in order.
Oh, Customs and Excise?
Taxmen.
Auditors.
More than a dozen and a gross combined.
A very multitude.
Oh, the swines! Swooping in on us on Christmas Eve. Well, it seems, Mr. Fezziwig, that there is no time for us to lose. Ebenezer and I must go into the stockroom at once to make sure that all is in order. Oh.
That altogether wise, my dear?
Wise, Mr. Fezziwig?
Only it was 20 years ago this very eve that you and I went into the stock-taking room, and that resulted in you becoming the third Mrs. Fezziwig.
Oh, really, Mr. Fezziwig? I don't know what you mean. I was only going to show Ebenezer where everything should go. Get your mind out of the gutter, Mr. Fezziwig.
Mrs. Fezziwig the third?
Yes.
Meaning there was a first and a second?
And a fourth. And a fifth.
Indeed.
He was a man of uncommon stamina, despite his looks. I don't know what happened to the first two Mrs. Fezziwigs, but she died in the cholera epidemic of '64. That took... The fourth ran off with a supplier of dairy products, while the fifth achieved that which Mrs. Fezziwig III had so hoped to do, encourage Mr. Fezziwig to finally have a heart attack. Still, he lived a most full life.
It seems they all did.
Hello! Is all cleared away then? It is! It is! Then let's all in and let us celebrate being yet another year older, but all still here.
She pats Mr. Fezziwig on the chest and smiles at him, and together they laughed. Musicians enter the room and take up their allotted positions. The room then fills with all the employees of the other departments, excitedly chatting amongst themselves. In amongst these is a young woman, Belle, dressed poorly even amongst these workers. Her eyes dart around the room looking for someone. She smiles when she sees young Scrooge, who, noticing her, smiles back. Belle tries to move over to Scrooge, but finds her way blocked. The musicians, who, almost on an unseen signal, strike together to form a tune.
A dance! A dance, my fellows! Come, Mr. Fezziwig, come!
He grabs his hand and pulls him forward. The musicians start to play Sir Roger de Coverley, and without instruction, all there formed a line to perform. Up and down they went, each in turn, with much whooping, hollering and clapping, with much enjoyment. Mr. Fezziwig, upon needing a breath after this sudden exertion, releases Mrs. Fezziwig, who immediately crosses the room toward young Scrooge. Simultaneously, Belle has also reached young Scrooge.
Hello.
Oh, hello, I thought I'd never get here.
A dance, if you will?
I was just,
Mrs. Fezziwig has already presumed that the answer will be yes, and takes young Scrooge into the dance. Young Scrooge looks back at Belle with a "what can I do" kind of look. Scrooge himself, throughout all of this, has been crossing his arms, then tapping his feet, until, unable to restrain himself any longer, joins in with the dance, although none there are aware of him. Then, into the occasion, steps young Jacob Marley, along with a young woman, Louisa.
Well, I thought never to enter on such a scene. Ebenezer, dancing. Such frivolity, Ebenezer. I thought it not in you.
Very amusing, Jacob. Mrs. Fezziwig, may I present Jacob Marley and his girlfriend?
Fiancé.
Why, congratulations to you both.
Now if you can only find someone suitable to Ebenezer here.
Oh, so sadly. I do believe I'm taken currently. Though he may wait 1 or 2 years. Oh, I'm joking, of course. And besides, I think Ebenezer may have already made his choice. No?
Young Scrooge beckons Belle across to the group, and each make their introductions, while Mrs. Fezziwig returns to Mr. Fezziwig and giggles into his ear about the fun she has had teasing Ebenezer. Out of breath from all his exertions, Scrooge returns to the ghost of Christmas past. As he does, both Mr. and Mrs. Fezziwig are receiving the thanks of their employees.
A small matter, yet they are so thankful for it.
Small? I think you misinterpret what you see, Spirit.
They have spent but a few pounds of your mortal money. 3 or 4, perhaps? Is that so much that they deserve so much praise?
It isn't that, Spirit. They had the power to render our workplace happy or sad, our work burdensome or light, our days to skip by or to drag. Say that their power lay in words and looks, in things so slight and insignificant that it is impossible to number them. But then, the happiness they gave is quite as great as if it cost a fortune.
What is the matter?
Oh, nothing in particular.
something, I think.
No, I just wish I might have had a word with my own clerk just now. That's all.
My time grows short. Another place.
A bright day, in contrast to the location. A graveyard. A funeral is in progress, and a handful of mourners stand around the grave. The mourners include young Marley and young Scrooge.
Where are we? Oh, no. I remember this day.
The place where that your coldness to the world took hold.
Not many came.
People are afraid, Jacob.
Of Louisa?
Of the cholera. It takes friends and family without reason, and no one understands why. It took Louisa, and people worry they would be next.
What harm could she do now? She is in the grave.
None, but fear is not rational.
You came.
I am more knowledgeable of the harshness of the world, Jacob.
You say that to me here, Ebenezer.
One must harden oneself. London is on its knees in the face of this disease. We do well to not succumb to our fears ourselves and stand before it.
Easy words, Ebenezer. Your life turns well. An uncle-to-be and a man soon to be married.
Such things will not weaken me. We will face the darkness together, Jacob.
A sad time.
Yes, Spirit.
And you chose to reside in it.
What? No.
You gazed upon the dark and defended yourself from it.
Of course. Why should I not? Look about you, Spirit. The fear, the despair.
It is but a moment of life's tapestry. A dark one, I grant. One to be left, not tarried in.
It was a lesson to me.
All of life is a lesson.
So it is.
But we choose the lessons we learn. One shadow more.
No. I do not wish to see any more.
You must.
An attractive, well-furnished room. Belle is seated. It looks as though she may have been crying. Young Scrooge looks older, closer now to the man he was to become. He is stood some distance from Belle, his back toward her.
But am I still the centre of your heart?
But what sort of question is that?
The only question.
Not here, Spirit.
Of course you are.
Really? It seems to me another has replaced me there.
Who?
A golden idol. And it seems to me the idol with whom I cannot compete.
How is the desire for wealth and property your competition?
Feelings, emotions, they matter so little to you now.
No, they do not. And why? For they cannot buy an ounce of bread or a stick of firewood.
After the death of Louisa, and then so soon your sister Fan, I thought you might have softened.
How dare you mention my sister's name to strengthen your argument? Soften? How little you know me. Soften? Why should I soften? What strength is there in that philosophy to survive in this world?
Shut up, boy!
But your philosophy is just that, Ebenezer. Survive it. What of joy? What of hope? What of love? Is true strength found in the weakness of this life? You fear the world too much, Ebenezer.
With good reason.
Our promise is an old one, made when we were both poor. And our future's unknown.
What of it?
I would release you from it.
No, this time say no!
Have I ever sought release?
Not in words. but in all of your deeds and actions, tell me, if we had never met before today, would you seek me out and try to win my heart?
Of course.
Me, a dowerless girl, of no family or property. How would that meet with you, who today weighs by all gain? And if for a moment you were false enough to your one guiding principle to do so, would it not be that so repentance and regret would surely follow?
I don't know.
I release you.
As you may.
No! No! Come back, you fool! Come back!
Goodbye, my love.
Spirit, how could you? How can you delight in torturing me so?
These are the shadows of the things that have been. But they are so. Do not blame me.
Remove me. I cannot bear it.
You must.
Then let me be haunted by it no longer. Return me to my present.
I will. But understand, mortal man, that though your past cannot be changed, your present might be. If you would but consider all you have seen this night and learn from it different lessons.
Scrooge has returned to the street outside the Cratchit house. The ghost of Christmas present is there.
Thank you, my sister. Mortal, let me look at you. Thy coldness remains, but shaken. Methinks I see within you the thawing cracks of an overdue spring. Let us see if we can find further warmth.
Mother, I think the best dinner ever.
Well, I do the best we can with what we can afford.
Well, a toast to you, my dear. To the best wife a man could ever have.
Hurrah!
And another, I'll give you the founder of the feast, Mr. Scrooge.
Bob! I feign to think that Mr. Scrooge has much to do with our celebrations on this day.
How employed do we build our standing, dear?
I'll not argue with you, dear, and not in front of the children, but it could only be on Christmas Day that you should ask me to drink the health of such a man. Why, is there a more odious, stingy, hard feeling?
I think he's funny.
The boy thinks I'm funny.
Upon my soul, only you, Tim, only you could find Mr. Scrooge funny. Very well, Bob, and you, Tim, I will drink the health of Mr. Scrooge. A long life to him, a Merry Christmas, and a Happy New Year to him. He'll be very happy and very merry, no doubt.
I have seen no evidence of merriment. There is time yet, though it does grow short. Come, there is much to do. Hold on.
The street disappears from around them, and Scrooge feels himself swiftly moving to a new location.
What place is this, Spirit?
A place where miners live, those that toil in the bowels of the earth. But they know me here.
God rest ye merry gentlemen, let nothing you dismay, for Jesus Christ our Saviour was born on Christmas Day.
Onward, to the sea!
Scrooge and the ghost of Christmas present find themselves on a deck of a ship where two men stand at the wheel, a glass of steaming hot drink in their hands, to which they are toasting each other. The ghost of Christmas present casts his blessings upon them.
To save us all from Satan's power when we had gone astray. Oh, tidings of comfort and joy, comfort and joy. Oh, tidings of comfort and joy.
Your turn, Fred.
Oh, make it a good one, Fred.
Remember, you can only say yes or no.
Okay.
You got one?
Yes.
Is it an animal?
Yes.
A dangerous one?
Yes, I suppose so.
Is it in a zoo?
No.
Is it killed in a market?
No.
Does it have 4 legs?
No.
2 then?
Yes.
What could it be? Wait, is it in London?
Oh, yes.
Is it your Uncle Scrooge?
Yes, why, yeah. In a market, he would say never.
Oh, he would hope to have killed.
True.
They make sport of you,
They do.
but tender enough.
Come. Here's merriment. Just to thank him. Charge your glasses with this most spicy mulled wine, Scrooge. Wherever he is, whatever he is. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to him. Uncle Scrooge.
Uncle Scrooge.
Uncle Scrooge.
Spirit, are you well?
Earthly man, my end draws near.
Are all spirits' lives so short?
Some, mine ends at the stroke of midnight, and now we are almost upon it.
Spirit, may I ask, am I redeemed?
Do you think so? Man is judged by his deeds, not his thoughts, and we have yet to see your deeds to come.
I will try to change.
Try? Try is not enough. And Sirrah, you need more help in that matter yet. Children, come.
From the shadows come 2 children, a boy and a girl, both ill-nourished and dressed only in rags. They run to the ghost of Christmas present and cling to his cloak, the girl fearfully, the boy defiantly.
Spirit, those children, are they yours?
They are man's. To me, for hope and warmth. From the harshness of your kind. The boy is ignorance. Beware them both, but most of all beware the boy. For it is in thy growing ignorance that the doom of man is writ large upon its fate.
But Spirit, have they no recourse or refuge to turn?
Are there no prisons? Are there no workhouses? Are there no prisons? Are there no workhouses?
Spirit, oh, repent me of my words. Help me more. Help me more.
Ghost of Christmas present continues to leave, but in response to Scrooge's plea, points toward a new figure advancing towards Scrooge. A cowled, frightening figure in black. The ghost of Christmas yet to come. Scrooge slowly turns to look where the ghost of Christmas present has pointed.
Are there no...
Scrooge lies in his bed, but it is different. There are no bed curtains, no blankets cover him, just a thin white cotton sheet. The room itself is stripped of belongings, just bare wardrobes, cabinets, furniture. Scrooge rises with a start.
Where am I? Where am I? Oh, I'm in bed. My bed? Not my bed. Oh, this looks like my room, but it is not.
My bed, but not my bed. My room, but not my room. What is that I see? Who is in the darkness there? I recall. I am in the presence of the ghost of Christmas yet to come. You are about to show me things, shadows of things that have not happened, but will happen in the time before us. Is that not so, Spirit? Ghost of the future. I fear you more than any spectre I have seen. But as I know your purpose is to do me good, and as I hope to change from what I was in the days ahead, I do accompany you gladly. Spirit, will you not speak to me? Spirit, what is to happen in the days ahead? Bob Cratchit's house. Oh, Tiny Tim. Oh no.
They enter. Mrs. Cratchit is sat with her daughters, Martha, Alice, and Belinda. She has her knitting in her lap. Across the room, Peter is reading aloud from a book. In the corner of the room, unattended, is a boy's crutch.
And he took a child, and he set him in the midst of them. Mother?
It's okay, dear. It's just the colour hurts my eyes. It makes them weep by candlelight, that's all. I must be near your father's time now.
Past it, rather. He walks slower now.
I have known him walk very fast with Tiny Tim upon his shoulders.
So have I.
And I.
But he was always very light to carry, and your father loved him so, and there's your father at the door.
Shouldn't you two be in bed?
They've stayed up to see you home, Bob.
Well, I'm here. Go on bed, the pair of you.
Go on, girls. Martha.
Good night, Father.
Good night, Father.
You were later tonight, Father.
Busy. Christmas is a busy time of year. Mr. Scrooge has always said so, and he is right on so many things.
Am I, Bob? I begin to fear not.
It is such a green place in which he rests. Even in this winter time, it seems to hold something of the spring in it. It looks down over the grazing land, and I fancy sometimes Tim might see the animals there. You know how we loved animals, Bob.
We best get rid of this crutch, now that it's not needed any longer.
No, Bob, not while I live!
He's gone, Margaret. He's gone, and no talk of him or fancies of what he might see or remembrance of him is going to bring him back. It is a harsh truth, Margaret, but we need to be harsh before it. I'm going to bed.
Before supper?
I'm not hungry. And I need to be at the office all the earlier tomorrow. Much to do.
Oh, children! Losing Tim was so hard for all of us, but I fear we may have lost your father too. In his pain, he has looked too long into the dread eyes of Mr. Scrooge and sailed into those dark lands beyond where hope rarely treads. Oh, children, hold me.
Forgive me, madam. Forgive me, children. Forgive me, Bob. Oh, Tim. Spirit, say it will not be so. Must it be that Tiny Tim should die so soon?
Well, I thought he'd never die.
We are on the floor of the Corn Exchange. 4 well-dressed businessmen are in conversation. The ghost of Christmas yet to come is pointing at them, and Scrooge walks across to listen.
I
I dare say so. Did he?
When did he die?
Yesternight, I believe. His housekeeper found him.
That must have given her quite a turn.
I doubt it frightened him more than when she was alive.
What has he done with his money?
Well, he hasn't given it to me.
Or me.
Left it to his company, perhaps. I imagine it will be a cheap funeral. For the life of me, I can't think of anybody likely to go.
Well, I don't mind going. Perhaps we can make up a quorum and go together.
Oh, capital! But there must be a lunch provided. I need to be paid after all.
I know these men. They are all successful men of business, and I am usually there at this time of day, and I am not. Spirit, to whose circumstances do those gentlemen refer?
Scrooge finds himself on an ill-lit street. An elderly woman stands before a rickety door of a shop. She is holding a sheet turned into a bag which is stuffed with contents. She puts the bag on the ground and knocks.
I know this place, Spirit. A darker part of the old town. I would not care to come to it after nightfall.
The door opens. A scruffy, aged man known as Old Joe opens it. The scowl on his face changes into a smile as he sees who is at the door.
Ah, come in, my dear. Come in.
Scrooge and the ghost of Christmas future follow Old Joe and the woman into the room beyond that might scarce be described as a shop. Two others are already there. A tall man, smartly dressed but in clothes that have seen better days, and another woman who immediately bursts into a cackling laugh.
Oh, well, if the laundress, the undertakers and the housekeeper haven't all met together at the same place at the same time. What are the odds, Old Joe?
Kismet, my dear. You all couldn't have met in a better place. Come on, all of you. Come on through to the parlour. You're made free of it years ago, and the other two are now strangers. Wait till I lock up the front of the shop. Go down with treats. There ain't such a rusty bit of metal in the place that has its own hinges. And I'm sure there's no such old bones here as mine. We're all suitable to our calling. We're all well matched. Come on through to the parlour. Come on through.
Besides, we need no odds to be here, Mrs. Dilber. Every person has a right to take care of themselves. He always did.
That's true. No man more so.
Very well then. No need to keep staring like a frightened cat then, is there? We're not going to pick holes in each other's coats, are we?
Well, I should hope not.
Certainly not, ladies.
I mean, who's the worse for the loss of a few things like these? Not a dead man, I suppose.
Oh, indeed.
If he'd wanted to keep them after he was dead, why wasn't he more natural in his lifetime? If he had been, he'd have had somebody to look after him when he was struck with death, instead of lying there gasping out his last, like all alone by himself.
A judgment on him.
Oh, certainly.
I just wish it had been an heavier judgment, and it certainly would be if I could have laid my hands on anything else. Open that bundle, Joe. I'm not afraid to be first or witnessed. We all knew pretty well we were helping ourselves before we met here, I believe. It's no sin. Open the bundle.
If you insist, but tell me, is gallantry now as dead as your customers in the undertaking profession?
It may be, Joe, but not in my own case.
Oh, give it a pop of it.
Brooch, fob, pocket watch, ivory sleeve buttons, and pin.
Yeah, 14 and sixpence. That's your count, and I wouldn't give another halfpenny. Now, who's next?
Go, Joe.
Well, you must all stay for mine. I insist.
So, what we got here then? Sheet, sugar tongs, clock. Nice clock. Be hard to move though. Boots, candlestick, ties. £1 and fourpence. And that's mainly the clock. I always give too much to the ladies. It's a weakness of mine. That's your account. If you were to ask for another penny, I made it an open question, I might forget myself and knock off £0.50.
Open my bundles, Joe.
Oh, here we go.
What's this then? Bed curtains?
Bed curtains.
You mean to tell me you took them down, rings and all, with him just lying there?
I do, and why not?
You were born to make a fortune, Florence, and you'll certainly do it.
Well, I certainly shan't hold back my hand when all I need to do to put something in it is to reach it out. Not for the likes of such a man as he was, anyhow, Joe.
His blankets.
Whose else's? He ain't likely to take cold without them, I dare say. And you can look through that till your eyes ache and you won't find an hole in it. It's the best he had, and a fine one too. They'd have wasted it if it hadn't been for me.
Wasted it?
Somebody put it on him to bury him in it, but I took it off him again, as if calico ain't sufficient for such a purpose. It's just as becoming to the body, and it looked just as ugly in either.
Was there anything left in the room after you'd finished?
Nothing that I could see that wasn't nailed down or I couldn't fit out the door. This is the end of it, you see. He frightened everyone away from him in life just to profit us when he was dead.
Idiot. This unhappy man who is now but carrion for these creatures. I can see now how his life would mirror my own. Did I awake in this man's empty rooms when you came to me this night? Spirit, take me from this place. I cannot abide it. Show me some pity associated with this man's death, or upon my life I will be haunted by this vision to the end of my days.
Ghost of Christmas yet to come gives a sweep of his cloak, and Scrooge finds himself in a graveyard, standing before a newly dug grave, a coffin in its depths, a pile of earth waiting to cover it. At its head, a slab of granite, its wording obscured by impacted snow. Any ceremony is over, and the graveyard seems deserted.
Spirit, what pity was there in this man's death? Was he in pain?
The ghost of Christmas yet to come points off to the entrance of the graveyard as a woman and man descend from a carriage. The woman, in mourning dress, walks up the pathway toward the grave, her face veiled and her head bowed. Scrooge watches her intently. As she reaches the graveside, she lifts her dark veil to look at the coffin below. She releases a rose from her grasp, and it plunges into its depths.
'Tis gratifying, lady, to know someone felt pity for this man's passing. Belle!
The woman walks away.
Belle! Then this man was your husband! Oh, not your husband. And someone you knew.
They leave, and Scrooge, alone in that graveyard, his mind whirring to discover alternatives to whose grave he stands before, turns to the ghost of Christmas yet to come.
Spirit, you begin to fear the man in whose rooms I awoke, whose belongings were so hawked in that fearful place, who lies in that grave. I fear it... I cannot say. Spirit, are these shadows of things that will be, or may be only? If they will be, why torture me with this foreknowledge? But if they may be, a man's actions will foreshadow certain ends. That is certain. But if a man change those actions, must not the end be changed also? Spirit, I know that this is the end of all men. But must this frightful end be my own?
The ghost of Christmas yet to come draws nearer still, insistently pointing at the headstone. Scrooge turns to it and, wiping away the snow, reads the name engraved there. Ebenezer Scrooge.
No!
Come on, boys. Let's bury this one deep so he doesn't have too far to go.
Hear me! I am not the man I was. I will be the man I must have been, but for this intercourse.
Ebenezer.
I will try to keep it all the year. I will live in the past, the present, and the future. Oh, we shall strive within me. I will. Doubt the lessons they have taught. Spirit, say I can sponge away all that you have shown me. I don't want to be dead. I don't want to be dead. I will change. I will.
We are back in Scrooge's bedchamber. The room is still fully furnished, the bed complete with bed curtains which are closed. In that bed can be heard Scrooge, rousing from his slumber, shouting in his half-sleep.
I don't want to be dead. I don't want to be dead. I don't want to be dead. I don't want to be bed. Bed. I'm in my bed. my bed. And bed curtains. The bed curtains, are they still here? I'm still here. There is still a chance. The shadows that I have seen will not be what I have seen. No, they will not. Oh, Jacob, thank ye. Spirits, thank ye. Christmas, thank ye. Christmas, thank ye. I don't know what to do. I'm as light as a feather. I'm as merry as a schoolboy. I'm as giddy as a drunken man. All my thoughts, they tumble upside down till they're the right way up in the world. I see that now. Oh, look. There is the food I was eating when Jacob appeared to me. And there's the place his arm fell off. When he soberated me. Oh, Jacob. Though you may have fallen apart yourself, you have put me back together. And there, the window I looked from to see the wandering spirits in the street. It's all true. It all happened. Is it so? Is it still the day? Could it be? I must look out of the window. Merry Christmas, world!
Watcher!
Boy, excellent boy. Tell me, what is the day?
Why, it's Christmas Day!
Christmas Day! I haven't missed it! The spirits have done it all in one night. Well, of course they have. They're spirits. They can do anything they want. Boy, wait. Come back.
Yeah?
Do you know the poulterer's in the next street but one at the corner?
Well, I should hope I do.
Oh, an intelligent boy. A remarkable boy. Do you know if they've sold the prize turkey that was hanging there? Not the little prize turkey, but the big one.
What, the one as big as me?
Oh, what a delightful boy. It's a pleasure to talk to him. Yes, my buck. That's the one.
Yeah, it's still there.
Good. Go and buy it.
Walk on.
No, I am in earnest. Bring the poulterer to my door so that I may tell him where to send it. Bring him back in 15 minutes, I shall give you a shilling. Do it in 10, I shall give you half a crown. Oh, I'll send it to Bob Cratchit's house and shan't say who sent it. It's twice the size of Tiny Tim. Much more to do.
Rest ye merry, gentlemen, let nothing you dismay, for Jesus Christ our Saviour was born on Christmas Day.
A busy street on Christmas morning. A carol is being sung, God rest ye merry gentlemen. Into the throng enters Scrooge, making his way through it, shaking hands with people as they pass.
Merry Christmas to you! Merry Christmas! Merry Christmas, madam, and a Happy New Year too!
Any bread? You got your pennies? Come on in.
Oh my, there is the baker I saw when I was with the spirits. And there is the girl who bought one. I must follow.
A mother and daughter are sat down at a table. On it is a bowl of stew and the penny bread. They have bowed their heads to say grace. On Scrooge's entrance, they look up sharply.
Oh, forgive the intrusion, madam, but Merry Christmas. And come see me in the new year, and we will see what can be done to improve your situation. Gentlemen, Merry Christmas to you both. I fear I was not myself yesterday. Correction, Ebenezer, you old fool. Gentlemen, I regret to inform you I was myself yesterday, but gladly today I find I am not.
Mr. Scrooge?
Yes, that is my name, and I fear you may not find that name too pleasant upon your lips. Sirs, I would change that. Come to my offices tomorrow, if you may, and we will see what can be done to help those that need it, in whatever number we may. In the meantime, if you would take this legal note to my bank.
Mr. Scrooge?
It includes a great many back payments.
Mr. Scrooge, we do not know what to say to such munificence.
Say nothing, but come see me on the morrow.
We will, Mr. Scrooge. We will. And a Merry Christmas to you.
Sir, where do you dine this day, if you have no plans?
I dare not think on what plans I had for this day but 12 hours ago. However, I have an offer made to me so often and slighted by me so often that I must indeed delight to accept. Merry Christmas, gentlemen.
Scrooge stands before the front door of his nephew Fred's house. He goes to knock, hesitates, turns away, then turns back and gives the door a hearty knock. On doing it, he seems a bit fearful, a bit embarrassed, and turns away from it, his back towards the door. The door opens. It is Fred.
Merry Christmas, sir. Can I help you?
It is I, nephew, your Uncle Scrooge.
Well, upon my soul, dear uncle, what brings you here? Are you come to dinner?
If the invitation still stands.
If? Of course. Come in, come in. Anna, we have a guest. Anna, are you there? My Uncle Scrooge has come to dinner.
If you'll have me, that is.
There was a place at a table for you, Uncle. Come on through.
At the time Scrooge was meeting his nephew, so Bob and Mrs. Cratchit are looking in puzzlement at a delivery note, while a butcher stands alongside looking at them. With them are Belinda, Tiny Tim and Peter looking on intently.
But that is our address, Bob.
Yes.
And leastways, I don't know any other Cratchits around here.
No. What is it?
There's a giant chicken outside.
It's a turkey, not a chicken. Who was it sent this, did you say?
I didn't know the gentleman, though he's quite insistent that I brought it here to you. I can quarter it for you if you like.
What about apes?
I can do that, seeing as it's Christmas.
Bob, it doesn't matter what it gets cut into. It's just too much for us.
Well, I wouldn't go as far.
It's not too much for the street. I know there's many not eating well this Christmas Day, and if someone has been good enough to send us this gift, then let us be good enough also and to pass our fortune on.
Oh, best wife in the world. I've always said it. Sir, 16ths. And goodness me, smaller.
What an excellent dinner, Anna. I imagine you would have visited in a previous Christmas had you realised what a great cook my wife is.
I wish I could say that that was true, Fred, my dear Anna. But until this morning, I had quite resolved myself to ignore your invitation once again.
So what happened this morning?
I awoke to find myself alive.
Do we not all do that, sir, on every day?
We do. But this morning, you see, for so long I have chosen to live in the darkness of my own creation. And this morning I chose differently.
Is that all it requires?
I think so. I hope so. I know so. And spending this time in the bright light of two such as you drives the darkness out. So as I stand here now, in the dazzling brightness of the love you have for each other, and perhaps even for me, can you forgive an old man for choosing to live so long in the dark?
You will always be welcome here, Uncle.
Meanwhile, at Bob Cratchit's house, the family are sat around the dinner table and in riotous laughter.
My soul, only you, Tim. Only you could find Mr. Scrooge funny. Very well, Bob. And you, Tim. I will drink the health of Mr. Scrooge. Long life to him. A Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to him. He'll be very happy and be very merry, no doubt.
Mr. Scrooge?
Mr. Scrooge!
Mr. Scrooge.
What do you think he does today?
Who?
Mr. Scrooge.
Well, I imagine...
Do you think he's having fun?
I imagine he spends the day in quiet contemplation. Yes, quite quiet, quite still.
Upon my word, I do not remember when I last had such fun.
Your hidden talents, Uncle. You're quite the dancer.
Am I? I have your mother to thank for that, Fred. One Christmas, so many years ago, she insisted on teaching me to dance. I miss her still. And I think I had not noticed till now how much you favour her, Fred. Or maybe I had, and denied myself the knowledge.
I have not heard you talk of my mother before.
Have you not? Well, that I can change now. Oh, Fred, what a girl she was, and what a young woman too. My father was not altogether a pleasant man, and maybe I have favoured him too much. No more. He had the habit of leaving me at school over Christmas. But my sister, your mother, would not have that, and kept at him, year on year, till he had finally had enough, and gave in. And that Christmas.
It is the following day, and Scrooge has arrived at his offices early. Scrooge hastily tries to open the front door of the office. It sticks, and Scrooge finds he has to put his shoulder to it to open it. When it gives, it results in him rushing into the centre of the office. With a wild look, he looks about him.
He's not here.
He looks at the clock, approaching 9 o'clock. He goes towards it and pushes at the minute hand, moving the clock to show 10 past the hour. Scrooge laughs to himself at his own inventiveness.
He's not here.
Scrooge goes to his desk and sits, staring at the closed door of the shop. He tries to remove the grin off his face. He's struggling to do so.
Come along, Bob. It was all the earlier the day after.
Scrooge realises he may not be looking quite seriously enough to deal with Bob Cratchit in the way he wishes to. He grabs a mirror and looks at his reflection, combs down his hair, and puts on a serious face, which immediately causes him to dissolve into laughter.
Serious. Serious, Ebenezer, serious.
From outside comes the sound of Bob Cratchit entering the key in the lock. Scrooge immediately looks down into his books. Bob Cratchit is surprised he doesn't have to unlock the door and for a moment fears someone may have broken in. But as he enters, he sees Scrooge sat at his desk directly ahead of him. Bob starts to move quietly, hoping not to disturb Scrooge. Bob then looks up at the time on the clock and flinches on seeing it. Bob starts fumbling in his pocket to pull out his own pocket watch to check the time, scarce to believing he could be so late.
Ah, Mr. Cratchit, so good of you to join us.
Oh, Mr. Scrooge, I can scarcely believe the time.
Ah, well, there it is. And it is the same as mine.
I mean, I thought I might be fractionally late, sir.
Oh, fractionally.
I didn't think... Oh, my apologies, sir. I was making rather merry yesterday.
I imagine you were. Step this way, if you please.
It won't be repeated.
Not repeated. Not repeated! What about next year? The year after? And every future Christmas you are in my employ? Now, I'll tell you what, my friend. I am not going to stand for it any longer. And therefore, I'm going to raise your salary. What is it, Bob? You look at me as if I have gone mad.
Mr. Scrooge.
No. Oh, Bob. I haven't taken leave of my senses. Rather, I have regained them. Most wondrous. A Merry Christmas, Bob. A merrier Christmas than I have given to you in many a year. I'll raise your salary, and whatever we can do together to help your family and Tiny Tim. He thinks I'm funny, you know.
He does.
I can tell. He has wonderful insight. He's going to be all right, Bob. Together, you, I, your wonderful wife, those excellent children, together, we'll do it. We'll discuss it all over a bowl of smoking bishop. Now, make up the fire. Get another coal scuttle. Get 10 new coal scuttles before you dot another I, Bob Cratchit.
10, sir?
Ebenezer, please. Yes, 10. What we don't use, we'll give away. Oh, my goodness. I feel quite dizzy. Bob, are you still here?
Scrooge was better than his word. He did it all and infinitely more. He became as good a friend, as good a master, and as good a man as the good old city ever knew. Some people laughed to see the alteration in him, but Scrooge had learned from his time with the spirits. He had learned what was important and what was not. So he let them laugh, and little heeded them. Those that truly noticed that Scrooge had changed unto his heart admired it, and said that if any man alive possessed the knowledge of how to keep Christmas and keep it in his heart 365 days of the year, that man was Ebenezer Scrooge. Merry Christmas, ghost of man. Why are you so fettered?
I wear the chain I forged in life, made when I failed to intervene for good in human affairs, and now have lost that power forever.
Ah, yes. But, you did intervene for good in human affairs. A very and great good.
Louisa!
Jacob.
Now, Where was I? Oh, yes. And to Tiny Tim, who did not die, but was visited by a great many of my brothers and sisters in the years to come, seeing in a new century and all the wonderful inventions it brought. To Tiny Tim, Scrooge became a second father, and so, at the end of it all, as Tiny Tim would observe,
God bless us, everyone.
Jesus Christ our Savior.